Hi, I'm John DeGree, and this is Philip, Monica, and Christina, and we are from The Classical Historian. We're going to introduce you today to these games, our line of games called Go Fish. We have Ancient Go Fish, Medieval Go Fish, American History Go Fish, Constitution Go Fish, and the U.S. President's Go Fish. Each game has similarities, and each game can be played in a variety of ways. Today, we're going to demonstrate how to play the American History Go Fish game, but you could play the same way with each of our games. So, let's open it up. Each game comes with a little booklet which provides instructions on how to play the game, as well as a paragraph of history detailing everything you need to know about one of the cards. And I'll get back to this later after I open up the cards. When you get the game, it comes beautifully wrapped. Let's go ahead and open this up. We'll set this aside. As you see the cards, you notice that on the bottom of each of the cards, there is a category name. This category is symbols. There are 4 symbols cards: the bald eagle, the American flag, the Great Seal of the United States of America, and the Statue of Liberty. Each card game has 12 different categories. Each category has 4 cards. There is a simple way to play this game, which I'm just going to show you, but we're not going to play that one. We're going to play the more challenging one. And that game is called Go Fish. So let me just briefly mix up the cards just a little bit. And the Go Fish game, it's very similar to the common one played with numbers. You try to capture 4 of a kind. So we're going to go ahead and play a round of the Go Fish game here. The Go Fish game is appropriate for kids who can read and who have patience enough to sit down and play a card game. To play the Go Fish game, it's not required that you know any history, but in playing the Go Fish game, you start to learn things. You start to learn things such as the name of different events. Let me pick a card here to show you. So this is a card with General Washington. General Washington belongs in the category of American Revolution. And the other cards are Independence Hall, Boston Tea Party, Minutemen. They all go into the same category. So when you're playing this game, the player learns that Washington belongs with the category of American Revolution, and that all these cards belong together as well. What's cool about playing a history game that you have to speak is that normally kids learn history passively. They just hear it, and many times they forget it. But this one is a game where you're touching the cards, you're seeing the cards, and you're trying to win the cards by getting 4 of a kind. So we'll go ahead and start. And Christina, do you want me to be your partner? You and I do this together? Yeah. All right. Okay. So we'll show you our hand. We have to be quiet so these other 2 don't realize what our hand is. So here's Christina in my hand. We have 2 cards from the American Founding Fathers. We have the Civil War card, and we have westward expansion. So you see, in the 2 cards that we do have, we have John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, but we're missing James Madison and Alexander Hamilton. So Christina and I are going to start. Why don't you ask Philip if he has James Madison?
Well, do you have James Madison?
No. Go Fish.
All right, so you pick a card. There you go.
You have to ask the category.
Now it's my turn. Let's see, Monica, do you have the Abraham Lincoln card?
No. Go Fish.
Alrighty.
Philip, do you have a Civil War card?
Oh, you,
You get to go again, Monica.
Oh, okay. Dad, do you have...
Right, then you get to go again.
Christine,
Christina, do you have Westward Expansion?
no.
So in this game, in the Go Fish game, there are actually two ways to play. We are playing the more challenging way. In the more challenging way, you ask for the specific card. And so the game has the kids reading out loud all the cards throughout the game. The game takes a little bit longer. In the easier way, you ask for the category. So in this round, we're going to play asking for the category. So how do you ask? Do you have any West cards?
Do you have any West cards, Philip?
If the player does not have the card, then you have to pick up a card. And Monica, do you have any Civil War cards? Yes. Philip, do you have any Civil War cards?
Go
No.
Fish.
Philip, do you have any Westward Expansion cards? Christian Republic cards.
Go Fish. No, it's-
Christina, do you have any symbols?
No. Dad, do you have the kid?
The Civil War?
Yeah.
I have 3 Civil War cards. So Christina gets these 3, and because she now has 4 of a kind, she places them in front of her. And these are her cards. At the very end of the game, when we have no cards left, the player with more 4 of a kinds wins the game. So that is the Go Fish game. Let's put all the cards back in the middle. And we will now go on to our second game, which is the favorite way how to play this game. It's called Collect the Cards. In Collect the Cards, you try to capture as many cards as you can. Now, there are a few different ways how to play this game. So you notice I have this book here. Each of our games comes with a book, and one of the elements that is in this book is there's a paragraph which explains that card. So, for example, this is card Harriet Tubman, which is card 8D. Here's the paragraph. Now, before you play the game, you can do this. You can take out a few cards, you can read out loud the paragraph, you can talk about this card with your kids or with your students, and then you could play the game with just those cards that you read out loud. That's what our instructions say, and that maybe is the best educational way to play. But there's another way to play, and that is where you read out loud a few of the cards, and then you just put them in the deck, and everybody plays the game. If you do this once a week for a few months, then all the students, all the kids will be learning history, but it'll be in a game format, and it's a fun game. So here's the card paragraph about Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery, helped over 300 slaves escape, was a spy during the Civil War, and fought for women's right to vote. Tubman escaped along the Underground Railroad, a secret system in the South where people helped slaves escape. guides called conductors would lead slaves to stations, which were houses where slaves could hide during the day. At each station, people would feed and house the slaves and help them on their way going north. Once free, Tubman became a conductor, risking her life to go back to the South 19 times to free slaves. So you see, in this paragraph is kind of everything a junior high or ninth grader needs to know about history. And this game called Collect-A-Cards is perfect for ages about 10 or 11 through 15 or 16. And so we're going to go ahead and play. I'm going to be Christina's partner again. And in this game, we read out loud the hints. You see that each card has 3 hints. Hint number 1, 1861 to 1865. You have won the card. Now it's your turn.
Ironclads.
Reader's job is
Monitor versus Merrimack.
the reader's job is to give the hints, but also the reader is supposed to count 5 seconds. If the person takes longer than 5 seconds, then the reader is supposed to say, time's up, and move on to the next person. Okay, Christina, you ready?
16th. The Union.
No.
Me.
Sometimes, if the person doesn't know the answer, what happens is the reader will read the same exact hint for the next person. So we stay with hint number 1. So now it's my turn, Philip.
16th.
16th. I'm not sure.
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. Can you read those 3 hints or want me to? Okay, hint number 1, Daniel Boone. Daniel
Westward
Boone.
expansion.
Wrong. Hint number 2, Into Kentucky.
Wilderness Road.
That is correct.
Thomas Jefferson.
Abigail. Abigail.
John Adams.
Yes.
When you're playing this game, a good tip is if you are the reader, hold the card close to you. And when you move, don't move with the card because somebody may be looking. And if he sees the hints, because you're holding the card like that, it's okay for him to say the answer. So you kind of have to be careful how you read it. We're going to continue to play this, and in another round or two, I'm going to share with you a hint of how you could win the game. Go for it.
1700s.
Oh no.
Father Sarah.
I don't know.
California missions. The California missions.
Yep. It was California mission.
This is something that I'm glad Philip did. You see, the answer is California mission. Monica said California missions. Because it's not 100% correct, the reader can decide if he awards the card or not. He could, if he wants to be a nice big brother, he could say, okay, you got it. But he wants to win the game. And so he's only going to have the 100% correct answer. Now kids, what I want you to do is pretend you don't know the answer when I read out loud the hint, okay? Pretend you don't know the answer. So they can see what happens when no one knows the answer. Hint number 1, 49ers.
I don't know.
Hint number 2, the Deegans.
I don't know.
California Gold Rush.
Right, that is correct.
Cool.
Am I supposed to-
That is correct. Now, some of us take a long time to learn, and I'll repeat the instructions again. I want you to pretend you don't know the answer. So you can guess the answer wrong, or you can say you don't know. But don't guess the answer correctly. Do you understand, Philip?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes kids, even the bigger kids, need the instructions to be read out loud a couple of times. Hint number 1, elbow room map.
I don't know.
Hint number 2, coast to coast.
Cowboy.
Wrong. Hint number 3, manifest destiny map. Time's up.
Harriet Tubman.
Wrong. The answer is westward expansion map. And since nobody guessed it right, then I win the card. The reader wins the card. The first time that you play this game, the reader will be capturing the card most of the time. And that's okay, because the reader is saying the history words out loud. Everyone is hearing it out loud, and so they're learning in that way. Next, I'd like to share with you a hint in playing this game, a strategy tip. Notice that when Monica has won her cards, can you see this from here? Notice that when she's won her cards, she puts them together. So she has her Civil War cards lined up together. Then she has her westward expansion card. So if I say a hint that is somewhat related to the Civil War, she knows it's not going to be Abraham Lincoln because she already has him, and it's not going to be the Civil War card because she already has him, but it could be the other 2 cards, Harriet Tubman card or Monitor versus Merrimack. So that's a little hint, and so we strongly recommend that when you do win a card, you place it up, face up in front of you. Also, as an educational tool, when the student is continually looking over the cards and reading the hints again, they're learning and relearning again and again and again, and it helps them learn the history. So let's go ahead and we will play one more round. Can you read that?
It's SARS. The bald eagle.
Right.
Time's up.
Yeah, but to say it's best if you are the reader that you count to 5 and you say time's up really clearly. Say the hint again.
Francis Scott Key. And time's up. War of 1812.
The-
Yeah. Sporting events. Yeah. The Star Spangled Banner.
Monica wins the card. And now it's Philip's turn.
The West.
Wilderness Road.
Hunters.
Frontiersman. $17.89.
Time's up.
The Civil War.
No. Federalism.
Tree branches.
3 branches.
3 branches.
The American government.
Wrong. And the answer is the Constitution. So Christina wins her first card, and I'll go ahead and read out loud the paragraph from the Constitution. The United States Constitution was ratified in 1789. It is the oldest written constitution still in use in the world. The Constitution establishes a federal government that separates power into three branches: the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. American founding fathers believed that men were naturally selfish and would try to obtain more power when possible. The three branches were created to make sure that one person or one group would never become too powerful. All right, and now it's Monica's turn.
From France. Time's up. From France.
Statue of Liberty. Home of 7th.
I don't know. Andrew Jackson's Law Academy.
War.
No. Abraham Lincoln.
The Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes. How many cards do you have so far, Philip?
5.
5. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Monica has 8. And why are you holding them like that? Is there a strategy?
So they don't see my cards.
Okay, so Philip is holding the cards so that Monica, when she's guessing, she can only see her cards. But I guess Philip is planning that he can see his cards and her cards, but it's kind of a challenge to do that within the 5 seconds. Okay, go ahead, Monica.
Yeah, just go ahead. Wait, no. No, you didn't. Did you see it?
No.
July 4th, 1776.
Independence. First American Constitution. Written on board.
The Mayflower Compact.
Rise. So I would just like to review with you, what are the 12 categories in our American history game? We have symbols, and the bald eagle, the American flag, Great Seal of the USA, and Statue of Liberty is in the symbols category. Pilgrims, the second category is colonial America, and in that category is Pilgrims, First Thanksgiving, British soldiers, and slavery. Third category is American Revolution, and in that category is Independence Hall, Boston Tea Party, Minutemen, and Gerald Washington. Maybe you can look for some of them, kids, when I read them out loud and show them to our filmer. Category 4 is Important Documents. So we have Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Mayflower Compact, and the Emancipation Proclamation. Category 5 is Young Republic. We have Frontiersmen, Andrew Jackson's Log Cabin, the Star-Spangled Banner, and the War of 1812. The next category is Westward Expansion. We have the Wilderness Road, Westward Expansion Map, the Oregon Trail, and Lewis and Clark Expedition. The next category is the West, with the cards California Gold Rush, California Mission, Wagon Train, and Cowboy. Next category is the Civil War, with the categories of Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War, Monitor versus Merrimack, and Harriet Tubman. Next category is American Founding Fathers: John Adams, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton. The next category is Technology, with the cards of the airplane, the Model T Ford, the telephone, and the steam engine train. The next category is card 11, which is Landmarks: the White House, the Washington Monument, Mount Rushmore, and the U.S. Capitol. And category 12 is geography. We have the cards of the West, the Midwest, the South, and the Northeast. Another thing that you can do when you're using this to teach history is you can take one of the cards, after you've been playing this for a while and maybe you've read out loud the paragraph, you can take one of the cards and you can show it to the youngest person at the table or just anybody in your classroom, and you can ask, what do you know about this? Do you know anything about the Star-Spangled Banner?
No.
No? Okay, so I'm going to go to the next youngest. What do you know about the Star-Spangled Banner? And then you can cover up the hints so the person kind of has to see what they memorize. Do you know anything about the Star-Spangled Banner?
Betsy Ross wrote it.
No?
No.
Do you know what it is?
It's a song.
It's a fun song, or does it have any special meaning? The Song for America. We call that the national anthem. So that's correct. Do you know who wrote it?
Francis Scott Key.
Right, Francis Scott Key. Do you know what war he was in when he wrote it?
No.
Okay. All right. And so he wrote the words to it, and later on somebody put music to it. Do you know anything about the Star-Spangled Banner? Beyond, it's our national anthem. Francis Scott Key wrote it. Do you remember what war it was that he wrote it in?
The American Revolution?
No. Close though.
Civil War?
No, the War of 1812. So Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, the poem, in the War of 1812. And later, in the early 1900s, it was set to music, and it's the song played before official events or also sporting events. So this is a nice activity to do. You have each of the kids at the table say what they know about the card, and then you can read out loud the paragraph again. The Star-Spangled Banner is the national anthem of the United States of America. In 1814, while watching the Battle of Fort McHenry in the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key wrote the lyrics. It was later set to a popular British song, and in 1931, the U.S. Congress declared it to be America's national anthem. The Star-Spangled Banner refers to America's flag, which is a banner that is covered or spangled with stars. In the morning after the battle, Key could see the flag waving over the fort, and the sight inspired him to write the poem. The national anthem is often played before sporting events. So that concludes our introduction to our line of products, the Go Fish games, and specifically the American History Go Fish game with the mini history book. Kids, do you have anything to add to this introduction? Anything to share that you think someone who has never played this might want to know? Sorry, go ahead, Philip.
You don't have to know it to play it. You can learn while playing it.
This is one of the questions we commonly get is, do students have to know a lot of history before they play? And you don't. You kind of pick it up as time goes on. I've used this in a homeschool activity. Normally, if we have a class, it will last about an hour and a half, and the first 30 minutes, the kids play collect the cards. In a classroom where you have many students, what I love to do is to break up the students into groups of 4, and they play collect the cards, and then the winners of those games play each other. The kids who came in second place have a second place tournament as well. Those who came in third and fourth play each other as well. So they're always pitted against kids who are kind of at their range of competition and history knowledge. So we want to thank you very much for joining us and learning about our American History Go Fish game.